So, Morale, to anyone who's watching this marathon and doesn't know who you are or the work that you do, can you get a little intro about what you do for us?
Sorry. Sorry, can we do that again? Hi, I'm Morale, and I work with Save the Children USA as their charity gaming consultant. And I've been doing this for 5 years now, or six? No, 5 years. Yeah. It's an incredible job. I get to help Save the Children navigate the gaming space. I cultivate relationships with companies and with content creators all over the world, and through passion for gaming can help save children's lives, which is, I think, is absolutely wonderful. I feel very happy to be in the position that I am.
So, in regards to Save the Children as an organization, what exactly do they do?
So, Save the Children is an international organization focusing on children. They're one of the most effective and efficient charities out there focusing on children, and they work in 120 different countries around the world and have been around for over 100 years now. They were founded in 1919, and they help children have access to healthcare, education, and make sure that they are protected from harm. And this is quite of a broad or vague statement in a sense, but the situation for children looks very different depending on where you're from. So, Save the Children work in Sweden, where I am from, for example, and they also work in the U.S. and they work in Africa and many different places around the world. And the needs for children look very different in all of these places.
Okay, so regarding to Gaming Tuesday specifically, what is that event and how can the viewers help?
All right, so Gaming Tuesday is a spin-off or like Save the Children spin-off of Giving Tuesday, which is the International Day of Giving Back. It started when an organization in the US called 92 Second Street in New York, I believe, came together with the UN, and they decided, you know what, we have all of these days in America specifically focused on purchasing and materialism and all that stuff around the Thanksgiving holiday. So we got Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all these days which are very focused on taking. So they came together and they decided, like, look, we want to do something around the Thanksgiving holiday that actually gives back. So they created Giving Tuesday. And so Gaming Tuesday is Save the Children's version of Giving Tuesday, where anyone online can come together through the love of gaming to help support children and give back to those in need. And a way for viewers to help can be watching the streams or supporting content creators that are participating in Gaming Tuesday by watching, donating, or spreading the word. It's as simple as that, and it really goes a long way. Many people think that $1 is little to donate, but it is plenty. $1 can, for example, help give treatment to 4 children against pneumonia, which is one of the top killers of children under the age of 5. So a little goes a very long way, and $1,000, for example, can help build a village school, giving the gift of education to kids that otherwise would not have access to it. So there's plenty of things you can do to have a positive impact on children's lives across the world this holiday season.
Morel, who's your favorite GTA runner?
Do you really want to know?
Yes, let's
My
go.
favorite GTA runner is.
English Ben. So, Morel, to anyone who potentially might want to get into this industry, or perhaps even wants to do their own Gaming Tuesday fundraiser next year, do you have any advice or words of wisdom for them?
Yeah, I would say if you're interested in getting into the industry and working with gaming and charity combined, I would say just start by gathering a lot of experience. Volunteer. There's so many marathons online that you can participate in and help out with, and that will give you tons of experience that you can use moving forward and potentially landing a job for a charity, because it is true, this space is only growing and getting bigger and bigger, and lots of charities are getting involved in trying to navigate this space. And frankly, it's quite hard for someone with normal marketing degree to come into a space that is so niche and be able to navigate it and understand it properly in order to have successful results for a charity. So definitely, if you are a gamer and you're interested in Twitch and the space and live streaming, it is the best way to start is by gathering experience and participating in events. That can be volunteering at ESA, it can be volunteering at an online event like GTA Marathon or the Gaming Tuesday United.
I appreciate the GTA Marathon plug.
Yeah, that's a great start, I would say. If you want to participate in Gaming Tuesday, I would definitely say go to Save the Children's Discord at discord.g/SaveTheChildren. There you may find tons of resources, other streamers that will be able to help you out, a fundraising guide, and staff that will be able to talk to you and help you get things set up. And it's not so much if you're a big streamer or not, anyone can participate, and raising awareness makes a huge difference. So definitely participate if you can and get involved. It would be an honor to have you on board.
Myself in the music there for a moment. Forgive me. It just hit me so hard sometimes, like a massive bit of masonry falling from a high building or something, or a truck driving over your foot, you know? Powerful, like a dream where you go to work naked. Let's take a break while I recompose myself. Remember, too much emotion is always a good thing.
Howdy, partner. It's 4:30 in the morning here at Farewell Ranch, and it's time to get up and work the old cows. Get up, y'all! At Farewell Ranch, old people don't sit around stagnating.
First off, to anyone who might be watching the marathon and doesn't recognize this beautiful face, can you give an introduction about yourself? You know, what games you ran, when, and why people in the community should know this beautiful face?
I joined the GTA community or the speedrunning community at large in around, I think it was March 2013. Started to run GTA Vice City, did that pretty intensely for around 4 or 5 months. And after that, for the next 2 years, more like on and off. Other games I've ran after I was kind of done with Vice City, I did a little bit of GTA 3. I transitioned into other games that I just loved as like a child/teenager, including but not limited to Dragon Age Origins, Crisis, Unreal, MDK, and the Cube games. And then around 2016, 2017, transitioned more into a behind-the-scenes role. I started volunteering for ESA, the European Speedrunner Assembly, as part of the Games and Schedule team, and I'm now one of their organizers for their events, however, still mainly in charge of the scheduling side of things.
Hey everyone, I'm Thierry, I'm from France, and I started running GTA, specifically Vice City, in early 2013. If I remember well, it was right after AGDQ, in which Oasis did a bonus run for Vice City, and I basically started like right after. I was like, this is really cool. And Vice City as well has been one of my favorite games, and I figured, just gonna play the game a little bit and see if I can go fast, and I did.
Oasis, hello. I used to stream quite often, like under Oasis for underscores. I'm basically known as the, I could say, the GTA free runner, one of the first active any percent runners that you had on Twitch, and was quite active back in 2011. And this was like back in the days when there was Speed Demos Archive and streaming was very new. Like I think we still was a TU stream that was being used back in the days, and from there it kind of migrated to Justin and Twitch, and we kind of picked up from there. And in a sense, it's GTA 3 has been really close to my heart, and that's kind of where I started running. I was really really kind of I wouldn't say annoyed, but I was kind of disappointed that one of my favorite games that like nobody was really running the game, and I was really active actually watching. I was really anticipating back in the day. Silmaranza was doing the 100% GTA free run, and I remember it was like 2010 or something. I was still in the military, and I would always watch like the latest updates and everything whenever there was new runs coming out, or new back in the days. 100% was like segmented. It was very popular. That GTA free and even the 100%. Well, of course, 100%, but even the any percent, there were like 2 or 3 parts that people used to run the game back in the day. So it was just a very, very cool thing, and I never even thought I would like get it to a marathon or anything. I just kind of wanted to start running the game, just get the people a little bit excited, and started following the any percent route. I think it was L2 Rebel was back in the days doing those runs, and I think DJS was doing PS2 runs, and Ritter had some runs as well, or was it Vice City runs? It's been such a long time, I don't remember like exactly the details. And I just kind of started analyzing those a little bit and started adapting those for single segments, and I was really excited about doing like full runs on stream, single segments. And I think I started running on my first 2 runs were like a little bit over 2 hours, knowing the game a little bit and so on, and kind of started going on from there.
I'm DAS. I also go by Lambdan sometimes. That's my Twitch username. I joined SDA in 2006 when I was 11, I guess. So I was quite young. And then the GTA community, I joined pretty much immediately of what the community was at that point. It was pretty small back then. But then was it 2012, 2013, when Twitch was blowing up and the GTA speedrunning was more popular, I was there too. I did a segmented run up to San Fierro back in 08 or 07. It's on Google Video, so it's gone. I think that's a run I did, and then I did the single segment up to San Fierro, and then I did another single segment to San Fierro on Xbox. So I think that's my 3 runs for San Andreas. I think I'm guessing my intention of the run was to make maybe a full run, because it was December 29. That would be winter break, so I would have, and I was in school back then, so I would have time to do it. And but yeah, I think I stopped in San Fierro, wherever it was, because as I discovered, the game is a mess to run long consecutive hours because so much random stuff can happen.
It was just improving the time, and I think in like 2012 I started getting a little bit good times, and just started getting interested, and hypothetically aiming for a marathon or something like that I think was just cool. But the scene was very small. I think it was like the only runner for GTA 3 that was active for a very long time, and there was like running for San Andreas that was done by Josimus back in the day, and we were just starting Vice City as well a little bit.
Okay, so I started speedrunning GTA in early 2013, maybe late 2012, I don't quite remember, somewhere around there. I was like, along with a few others, one of the first people to like do speedruns of GTA online, like live streams, that is. The only a few people had done runs before me. But I started with that. I popularized San Andreas speedruns. The other few did GTA 3 and Vice City. What was the rest of the question?
Yeah, so I was known as Possessed Warrior. I originally, for Grand Theft Auto, I ran Vice City for a few months. Then I switched to Ballad of Gay Tony, which is where I spent most of my time. And I also ran Lost and Damned. And for games outside of Grand Theft Auto, I ran Diablo, and to a lesser extent, Mirror's Edge, Psychonauts, and Kirby's Dream Land.
So my handle at the time, and I guess that I'm referred to, is Cannibal K9. So firstly, I've softened that a bit. If I frequent a Twitch stream, which I don't do very often, I don't know, I meant it as an alliterative rework of like dog eat dog, but it's a bit too clever for its own good. So it's just Canny K9 these days. The GTA series was one of the last games that I ran in my career. I did a bunch in the years prior, and every time my run was the first run of the game. And I suppose I stopped just when the community was reaching the critical mass necessary to have the feeling of several folks combining forces to grind down a game, like happens today. So there were all these pages, and there were all these official pages for the leaderboards. The records all stood for ages because once there was a speedrun completed, why would you bother to improve upon it? It was already there. So when I attempted GTA 3 years after its release, it was a blank canvas. So I think DJS released a video or two of the first segment of GTA 3, and I was just sitting there waiting eagerly for some more. Nothing came, and so eventually I just had to do it myself. Otherwise, it wouldn't get a run on the page. I didn't have any proper ambitions for it. So I put as much effort in as I could on my own. I released each segment when they were complete, and the whole thing totaled, I don't know, 11 bits or so. Other people enjoyed them, and there was zero competition. There were a few ideas for improvements here and there, but barely anything required a retake. I didn't have any hard drive space for them anyway. Compressing the videos took ages, and if I'd moved on to a future segment, by the time someone had an improvement, it would break the continuity with my previous segments. So whatever I settled on, that was fixed. And then once that was done, like I put in the groundwork, so it made sense. I can't even remember the order I did it in, but at some point I did 100%, and then Vice City any %, which, you know, was always like the slightly more fun, compact, sort of content ridden game, and then 100% on that. And it's around that time I saw in your world progression videos that I very much enjoyed. Lots of S did mention that the others were working on it at the same time, and that's exactly true. By the time Vice City was happening for me, there was some actual community-driven strategies being discussed. Just a taste of things to come. But I don't know how much research there actually was. I only remember a couple posts saying like I accidentally did this weird thing in Cabmageddon. So it was a while ago. I remember having to fill in most of the gaps, and then when it came around to 100%, no one had touched it with a barge pole. So that was all very new and exciting. And then San Andreas was my last big undertaking, and 100% was never an option for me. Like the prevailing mentality at the time was 7 hours is basically your cap. If it's any more than that, like that's sort of a hard limit. Like is it even a speed run when the game is that long? Which is a ridiculous misinterpretation.
Of course,
at the time. Yeah, that's how it worked. And then I moved on university. There was no time for speedrunning there. I really do wonder the lives of regular streamers that I watch occasionally. Yeah. So I guess just to wrap that point up, compared with runners today, I know almost nothing. Top runners have hundreds or thousands of attempts and established efforts, whereas I did some like theoretical analysis. I pushed on when it was good enough, and then I made attempts, quite a few, but by these standards, not much, until nothing went glaringly wrong. And the Vice City any % single segment, you'll be perhaps unsurprised to know, was my first and only attempt at doing that in a single sitting. I've never gone back to it since, really.
Did you ever think that the community would become the size that it has? Like, you may not have been active as a runner anymore, but obviously you've stuck around the community for 7 years now. Did you ever think that it would kind of migrate into these, you know, thousands of people for each individual game, you know, people doing it as their full-time job, things like that? I mean, even as far as ESA as well, you know, tens of thousands of viewers every year.
Yeah, yes and no, kind of. Like, I expected it to grow because I saw the growth every year through things like event attendees, donation amounts for the big events just kept rising, kept exploding at the time even. And the kind of the rise of speedrunner.com becoming like the hub for speedrunning. But it's still become quite a bit larger than I think I ever would have expected, with, as you just mentioned already, many speedrunners now being able to make a living by streaming on Twitch. and also speedrunning kind of becoming a little bit of a fringe esport at times, and that part also being accepted by the community, which back in the day I don't think I would have expected.
I knew it would grow because I saw Josh. When I started, Josh was already like kind of around here, like he was doing San Andreas stuff. He didn't have like the crazy viewers that he had, thousands and thousands, but he had like a good amount. So I knew it would grow because GTA is like such a popular series, and it was kind of like crazy to me that it was not already like a big thing in speedrunning, and then as we played and we got some better times. There was Adam as well, which also had the insane amount of viewers. Adam AK. My own viewers as well. Like I've never been on like Josh's levels and whatever, but it also grew. So clearly, like the interest was there. So I knew it would grow, and we went from like 3 players in early 2013 for Vice City, S, Oasis, and myself, to like a dozen, like couple dozen even by like mid 2013, and it just kept going from there. So I didn't think it would go like to like the levels that we have like now, where, as you mentioned, like so many submissions, so many runners. Like I have absolutely no idea how many people are even like running the game anymore. But I knew it would grow a little bit, and it's good that it's now like one of the main speedrunning franchises, at least on PC, because it really deserves it. Like their games are really fun. They're fun to watch. They're fun to play, and it's just a good time altogether. Yeah.
Oh, definitely no. It's like back in the day, it was pretty much just the whole scene was pretty much concentrated around a single IRC channel for like test videos. What it is now, it's all, of course, in Discord, but back then it was just NES videos, and then you had Speed Demos Archive that was just a single channel. So it was just a kind of, I wouldn't say nerds, but kind of like very like-minded people getting together. It's a small field, small hobby. You had Twin Galaxies for the records, and of course you had the GoldenEye community and everything back in the days. But it was kind of like very, very tiny and everything. It's just amazing like what it has grown onto. And when I started running in 2011, it was like even back then it was like I'm just running the game for fun, and this is a game I love, and I just want more people to get excited. Like it's a fun game to run. It's maybe a little bit of Stockholm syndrome involved, considering the RNG and everything, but it did evolve, and it was like back in the day, it was me mainly running the game, and then I actually started the first signs of growth, like during the streaming era, I would say, started getting together with lots of us and just started doing speedruns for Vice City, and it wasn't even speedruns; it was just us doing a casual race of the game, and then we started doing lots of races, almost like daily races, and then I implemented some really old timers might know the bingo application. I ended up coding because there was the Ocarina of Time community was doing bingo. So of course you apply it to Vice City as well, and we started doing bingo races. And later on, I did the AGDQ 2013 run for GTA 3, and also did the Vice City on bonus stream. And that's kind of where the games really started exploding. And of course, Joshimos was still doing San Andreas, and lots of us was also doing San Andreas. But that's like when Tyrion has gone on board of Vice City, and Adam, of course, it was like back in the day, we were really, really chatting with each other every day, and we were playing like Left 4 Dead. He was doing Amnesia as well, and that's kind of Adam got on board of GTA 3, and then we had lots of us doing Vice City, and like Tyrion doing Vice City, and then it kind of just exploded on from there. And like Fatsuke was one of the earlier runners as well back in the day, and it just naturally exploded from there, and more people started coming to our IRC channel, #GTA, and kind of evolved from there. And suddenly we had like this is kind of where it started. The community started getting too big for a single IRC channel, so they started making their own channels, and there were speedruns live, and there was like everything. And speedrun.com kind of started from I believe like speedrun.com even started from the GTA community in general. Like Pac started doing his own setup that we could use that started replacing like Google Sheets and Docs and everything. So
yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't know that, but we were actually one of the first on speedrun.com, and he basically used us for testing purposes for the website. So you're spot on there.
Yeah, pilot testing, and yeah, that's kind of like 2013, 2014, where the most after years for me, I kind of started going a little bit down. I started surprise, ended education, started doing more full-time work, and it kind of got down a little bit there. But it's just amazing what it has grown onto. And even though I don't like actively frequent the chats or everything, I every now and then jump on stream or jump on old WODs and just watch them through, and it's just crazy how big it has got. I don't even know, like probably 10% of the people ring a bell to me these days, but it's amazing.
No, not really. I just wanted the run that was on the side back then, the PS2 run by NTG, I think his name was, the 7-hour 46-minute.
Yeah, NTG.
I just wanted that to get out of there because the video quality was really bad and it seemed slow in some parts. I think I could do better, but I couldn't do it myself. So I wanted to raise interest and maybe get some more people to make more runs of San Andreas.
No, not really. I was just doing it as a fun hobby. Even when I was doing it, I had no idea that I would take off at all. I didn't know what my plan was. I was just going to do it for fun. But yeah, it taking off everywhere is like pretty ridiculous. It started with Speedruns Live getting really popular, but now it's just on Twitch and everything, on YouTube and stuff in general. It's just like, yeah, it's ridiculous how popular it's being now. How big, like you say, lots of communities are now, like thousands of runners, and the crazy things that have been found since, right? Like all the crazy Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64 stuff. But no, I had absolutely no idea. It was a fun hobby for me at the time. I didn't really think about all these big streamers making it their jobs or whatever, and I kind of didn't mean to do it myself.
So I can't really say that I expected it, but it doesn't really surprise me. Kind of back in the day, I never really speculated on what the community would turn into. I mostly just did what I did for my own enjoyment. I didn't really care whether it ended up going anywhere, whether anybody watched me or cared. It was just I enjoyed doing it, so I did it. So it's great to see that people can actually make careers off of this kind of stuff now. But I'm pretty much past my prime forever trying to make that a career for myself. So
So, do you have a favorite memory from your time? Doesn't necessarily have to be GTA related, but do you have like a favorite speedrunning memory that you can share with us?
It was definitely meeting everybody for the first time in person at ESA 2014, the first in-person event marathon I attended. Before that, like back then, most of the GTA runners were European, and we knew each other for the better part of a year prior to that. And yeah, meeting up with everybody for a bit over a week, going out eating, just hanging out, playing board games, just sitting around playing GTA. That was pretty good. Definitely my favorite thing.
ESAs really is I would say my favorite thing about speedrunning that led from me starting speedrunning, which like for the first ESA I did in 2014. Yes, I only knew like a couple of people outside the GTA community, and only hang out with GTA people like Vatska and whoever. Vatska, who eventually beat my record, I think. And yeah, he did. Bastard. But no, I love Vatska. Vatska is great. No, at ESAs for sure, it was really one of the main things. Impromptu 100% runs I did for various GTAs was kind of neat. It's just like a lot of love for the games. Like, it's objectively a bad idea to just like do them without a route because it takes way too long, but I just did anyway. And of course, the trilogy 100% we did in August of 2014 with S and some others, which took me almost like 2 days straight, which is like actually a really bad idea. I would not recommend it. But it just was like definitely a memory that we'll never forget, like how crazy it was. Yeah, no, like Vice City really is the one that I will remember always. It was just a great run.
It's hard to say. Like, I would say I've really hard to pick. I'm going to break your rules, so I'm going to pick a little bit more. But I would say
that's okay. Break the rules.
Yeah. yeah, it was just like the early days of speedrunning, like when I was doing GTA 3 and Vice City stuff, and just doing the Vice City races and the bingo and the stuff. And it was just kind of like very innocent days. You could just, a lot of people were doing like single segment for the first time, because back in the days, like I told, it was all segmented stuff for 100% and even 80%. So it was kind of like new field for a lot of the games to do a single segments, and it was just doing Vice City and kind of experimenting, routing, and doing the bingos, and just having a lot of fun going to the marathons and meeting people. And it was just whole lot of fun, and made lots of great friends that I still talk to daily, and it's amazing. And like GTA Trilogy was like one of the milestones, and the Vice City and bingo races, I would say those were a lot of fun, and just meeting a lot of friends.
I mean, there are a lot of memories. I'm probably forgetting a lot of important ones, maybe some bigger ones. But I remember this one guy, Daniel, back then in the 07, 08, or 06 maybe. I don't really remember exactly what year it was. He wanted to do a 100% speed run of San Andreas, and 100% San Andreas, that's a long run. I think that's still like, what is it, 12 hours, 14 hours, something like that. Back then it was probably like 20 maybe, something like that. So anyway, a problem with that back then was, we had bad computers and we had small hard drives. So recording a 20-hour run in decent quality, that was going to be a problem, because we didn't have OBS or anything like that. And he wanted to run it on PC. So he basically had to use Fraps to record it, and Fraps created these huge files. And how he was going to solve that was a problem, but I think he eventually decided to do a segmented run. I think his original ambition was a single segment run, but I think we pretty quickly realized it wasn't possible because of the recording sizes. And yeah, so he did the segmented run, started doing it. And I remember, I think his first segment was Los Santos, obviously, and he did paramedics in Los Santos, which is, I don't know why we didn't know about Badlands paramedics back then. Maybe there's an even better one nowadays, but that's where I do it usually, Badlands. But yeah, back then he did it in Los Santos, and that takes forever. So he did that first segment, I think. It was probably the first mission and paramedics, and that was the first segment. But even that file was, huge. So it was, yeah. And sadly, I don't think that run has survived, because it was uploaded to Google Video, which is not YouTube. And I think Google Video disappeared a couple of years ago, so I think it's lost to the times.
Probably the biggest run I ever did was the very first marathon run I did at ESA at 2013. Because I remember because it was my first ever like marathon run, and it was like a massive thing, and it it was like the longest run there, maybe something like that. It was pretty long, like 7 hours or whatever the estimate was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is probably the coolest memory, the best memory, because just meeting everyone in real life, and I had never traveled anywhere abroad, yet alone outside of the county I live in, by myself, right? So going all the way to Sweden to meet a bunch of random people I speak to on the internet, and my parents just being like, "Yeah, all right," that was pretty good. But I distinctly remember I being really, really nervous before the run, because I'd never done anything like it before. And I remember there was a sofa in the lobby of the building ESA was being held in, and I lied on that sofa for a good 3 hours before my run, just being super nervous and feeling horrible, and just waiting for the runs before mine to end. But as soon as I sat down in the chair and just started streaming or whatever, talking and playing the video game, all of that was forgotten, and I just felt a massive relief that I wasn't nervous during it, and it went really well, and then it ended up being world record at the time, and that a lot of people still quote that run as the run that got them into speedruns. And I remember on speedrun.com when it first started, there was a thread of what got you into speedrunning, and you got all the Marios and stuff in there, but a thing that kept popping up every now and then was that ESA run. So yeah, I was really proud of that run. Nowadays, obviously, it's terrible. Watching it back, I'm making mistakes all over the place. I die in Los Santos. It was awful, but But at the time, it was like really good, and yeah, I made a lot of friends. Yeah, I'm just amazed that it actually all came together and kind of happened. And ever since, I always remember whenever I'm getting nervous before a marathon run, I just remember as soon as it actually starts, I'll be fine.
So probably the two memories that I'll retain the longest are the people that I've met from doing speedrunning. There's two people that I actually met in person outside of just like I did North American Speedrunners Assembly and obviously meet a bunch of people there, but like two people that I met before I ever did any of those like in-person marathons. There was one time I was playing Ballad of Gay Tony and somebody in my chat mentioned, I hear rain in your background. Is it like raining really hard there? I'm like, yeah, there's a big thunderstorm going by. It's like, yeah, there's one here too. And it turns out he lived in the same city as I did. And he was also an aspiring GTA runner. And we ended up meeting up and doing a couple things GTA related. So yeah, small world. Two people live in the same small city doing the same thing. And then playing Diablo, there was another guy who I moved to Toronto at this point, and he also lived in Toronto. And he was like my primary competition for that game. So two different games I played. The primary competition at the time lived in the same city as me.
Like there were a lot of discoveries that I made in terms of, I don't know, I like the things I remember are so basic these days, but things like you can break the door off and then you don't have to close the door every time you want to get into a vehicle. Even that was kind of mind blowing at the time. It was such a save for such little effort. It seemed so trite, so simple, an improvement that I almost sort of didn't do it on purpose at times. I don't know, because that sense of belligerence, and it probably was one of the things that was brought up after I'd already started releasing my segments. So I was like, well, I can't just suddenly start doing this door thing now. It'll make me look stupid in retrospect, and the whole thing makes me look like even more stupid. So more fool me.
Yeah, you can't win them all. So hypothetically, if you were to return to GTA, it doesn't have to necessarily be full-time grinding like back in 2013. Is there a particular category, game, like strat, anything like that you would want to focus on?
If I ever that's a big if. If I ever return, it would definitely be Vice City because I'm familiar with the game. I don't feel like learning another GTA from scratch would suit me. In terms of category, either no SSU or all missions, none of the others really interest me. Both have interesting aspects for and against them. For example, for no SSU, I kind of really want to improve really want to. It would be nice to improve my time there. Like my time is from like 5 years ago, and I think I recently dropped out of the top 100. And for all missions, it's been kind of a category that's been close to my heart since the beginning as well. Back when we started routing it with Adam AK and Jalsey and a bunch of others. So yeah, there's cool aspects about both of those, and I'd be interested in doing both of those. However, I'm not sure if I'll ever find the time again to get into it, and especially get to a level I'd be happy to play at. Because if I just get into it for a little bit and I become like so okay at it, I don't think I'd be happy with that. Like I really need to, somebody who really needs to, either I become good or I just don't bother.
So I think if I were to come back, I would simply go for my city 80% sub 1 hour because I don't have it. I've played a little bit after the glitches were found. Sorry, the glitches, the duping. I wanted to get like a better time because at the time, like I basically stopped playing after I got my last, record, the 138. And I just kind of like stopped playing there. But once the duping was around, I tried to go for to try it out. So my PB currently is like I don't even know. It's I honestly don't know. It's something like 110 something. and which is obviously like bad. It's absolutely outdated and not optimized at all. So getting like a sub 1 hour would be like a reasonable goal. There might be some 100% runs here and there, but honestly, like, all of this is pretty unlikely because I just get like I start playing the game and I just kind of like get bored relatively quickly, which isn't great when you want to speedrun because like you really don't have the motivation kind of thing. Yeah. If there is another GTA, I might like stream it as well, but I don't think I would speedrun it either.
This is a tough one. It's I kind of feel like my original motivation for the game was to get people running the game. I feel I have maybe helped that a little bit, but like it's hard to say. Like the Vice City stories was also the thing. It was, I would say it's probably something to do with GTA 3 again. It's I've been thinking a lot of different things now, or maybe like GTA Online has been something that's been on my mind a little bit because of the Left 4 Dead influence. Just having a good bunch of friends and just having fun while running it. I think that's the most important thing. Of course, this assumes plugging here that I have less projects to work on. Something that I didn't mention also, why I also dialed down a little bit on speedrunning is I started working on video game projects like Iron Fury, which is a video game I worked on for 4+ years, and that kind of stole a lot of my time. But yeah, probably jumping GTA 3 and related to GTA Online. I just enjoy like cooperative games.
I will probably return to Vice City. I think that game, I like the length of it, and it's bright and colorful. I like the 80s, the music. I like the missions. So that's probably the most fun one to speedrun, I think. But I have also never done a full San Andreas run, any percent single segment. And I would like to do that someday, but I need to find 7, 8, maybe 10 hours in a day to do that. And because I guess I could learn those glitches to do it in 5, 6 hours, but I don't think I want to learn those because they seem so tricky. So I would probably just do like a semi-glitchless San Andreas run.
I'd probably just go back to running Ballad of Gay Tony. That's what I spent the most time on before, and it has a good variety of stuff to do, and it was less frustrating than Vice City to me. So, like, Lost and Damned is shorter, but I don't know, I found it kind of repetitive, and everybody hates the hit the pipe mission. So I don't know if people have found a way to get rid of the RNG involved in that. Maybe if that were the case, I might run that one again, but most likely Ballad of Gay Tony.
San Andreas still feels too long to me. I'd probably just go back to Vice City. It's been too long since I've played it in just for fun anyway.
So my fourth question is because obviously when I'm talking to people like Oasis, people Cannibal K9, I'm talking, it's all about hypothetically, if you were to return to GTA, what would you get up to? Now obviously it doesn't apply to you because you're actually still in GTA. So I'll kind of flip it for your benefit. And I'll instead just simply ask you, what are your like 2021 plans for GTA speedrunning?
I thought you were going to ask what I would do if I would get out of GTA speedrunning.
I mean, you could go with that too as well. If you want to escape us, then feel free.
No, this is a better question.
All right.
Plans for 2021 speedrunning? I don't know really. I tend to don't make I tend to not make too long-term plans. Like normally the longest term plan I make is that I will run something at some marathon that's like a few months in the future, right? Like speedrunning wise, plans obviously. So right now I'm doing this TikTok thing where I'm like running San Andreas and then I run something else and then I run San Andreas. So I guess the beginning of 21 will probably be San Andreas again, but I don't really have any particular plans like that. I just kind of, I do whatever I think is a good idea at the time. Like I'm running Vice City Stories right now because lots of really cool things were found in it recently, and we're skipping like the final mission and stuff like that, which is crazy. So because that happened, I started running that again. But now I have no idea how to say his name. Spug Free.
Spug, yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's been running Ballad of Gay Tony 100%.
Yes.
He's recently got world record in it. And I believe the route is slightly improved, so I would like to revisit that. Not to get my world record back or anything, but just because, better route and stuff and see what that's like. Yeah. But other than that, I don't really have any particular speedrun plans. I just do whatever I feel like doing, really, and I have done the whole time.
This was all just a bait to let everyone know that you're getting back into SA. You see, that's all. That's all the question was. Just,
I get the hype in the chat. Yeah.
Exactly. So, final question: as someone who's been around in the community for the best part of a decade now, do you have any tips for any potential new speedrunners who might want to get into speedrunning after watching this marathon?
Sure. Basically, the number one tip is don't choose a game based on popularity or however cool the speedrun might look like. Choose a game for yourself as the first speedrun anyway, that you love and that you don't mind playing for hundreds of hours. It's really important to have a game that you know you love and that keeps you motivated regardless of, like, there might be no community around it even. You might create a new speedrun just from scratch. But just dipping your toes into it with a game that you love is probably the most important thing. And then depending on how you like it, how you like routing, the grind, those sort of things, you can then transition into other games as well.
So it's gonna like it's something everyone says, but like kind of just find something that you want to a game that you enjoy and that you want to play, and see if you can go fast, and that's about it. And then once you do, go faster. It has to be fun for you. Like that's the main thing. That's, like as I mentioned just before, it's the motivation thing. If it is fun, you're gonna keep going. And it like fun like, depends on you. Like what do you want to do? Do you want to just go fast? Do you want to enjoy the game? Do you want to do the glitches, which is cool? Just go for it. That kind of thing. And I really want to empathize this. Like it has to be fun for you. And for GTA specifically, I guess I would advise to not reset too often and just kind of like play the game. It's going to give you like very valuable experience for what you want to do, and also go for potentially like side categories. You don't have to like go fast or whatever, but just like kind of play through the game, do 100% runs, do all missions. Obviously it's a lot of dedication, a lot of time, but I think it's very valuable, side knowledge for the main category you want to go later, like just general like knowledge about the game.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And what I can pretty much say is that when it comes to speedrunning, just start running. Like for me, it was I just started running. I'm an old fart, washed out wannabe at this point, or would be, has been. But back in the day, like people still like thank me or like say that I help them or like get interested in speedrunning, or they're really amazed, and it's really 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 cool to hear after all the years. But like just start running. It's running is fun. It's easy. Just start doing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. And just pick a game you like and start running. It's really really cool to see that things have evolved so much and so on.
Yeah, I mean, there's the cliche answer of play a game you really like. That's pretty obvious. But one thing I found helpful is, if you play a really competitive category, you're going to compare yourself to the top players and you're going to feel bad because your time is not as good. So I think it really helps to run a maybe less high pressure category. General knowledge of a game is very important. Like if something doesn't go as planned, have a backup strategy, know where weapon pickups are, know where body armor is, so you can have some backup strategies. Because when I was running GTA 3, I didn't really have a lot of knowledge of that game. So if something went south, I had no idea how to recover from it. That was a problem I had with GTA 3. Vice City and San Andreas, I knew better, so I knew where I could get some armor or pickups. So I think it's important to exercise marathon safety.
If you specifically want to do GTA speedrunning, pick whichever one of the GTAs you like the most, and find like do the glitchless-y category, if that makes sense, right? Obviously for like San Andreas, you have no major glitches, right? The stuff that doesn't involve duping and whatnot. Sure, it'll be longer that way and you'll have more to learn, but it's a lot easier to like learn all of the game without the complicated stuff, and you finish more runs and stuff that way. And then if you want to do the faster categories later, it's easier to cut down, right? if you like started with say any percent in San Andreas and then wanted to learn the rest of the game, you'd have so much more to do, right? Yeah, that's what I would say. But if you didn't really have a favorite one, probably run one of the shorter ones, just because it's obviously a bit simpler to learn. So like Vice City, Battle of Tony, stuff like that. But otherwise, the main thing I would say is don't worry about world records or stuff like that. Just compare to yourself, beat your personal best, and just have fun with it.
So the biggest thing, this is probably applicable to more than just speedrunning, but you need to know what your goal is and be realistic on what it takes to get there. If you want the world record, you'll probably have to spend countless hours doing things that you just don't find fun, like grinding out the same frame perfect trick ad nauseum until you can do it every time. But if you just want to have fun and improve yourself, there's no problem with that either. Like, you shouldn't have people thinking less of you if you're really honest about, I don't actually care about the world record. I don't want to do these things that I find boring. If you just want to have fun and improve yourself, just go for that goal. Don't worry about anything that you hate doing. Like, if there's some trick that you really hate, you never want to do it, just don't.
You want to get into it like I got into it. I mean, you've got to turn off all sort of the social factor doesn't exist. There's no one else apart from you in a game. Just trying something that you really enjoy. Obviously, I feel like a lot of the tips will be quite similar. A game that you grew up adoring, but also one that you wouldn't mind. So something that you could spend, weeks at a time pressed up against, and that you don't mind trying to find all of its fickle flaws and almost ruin the experience in the process. For me personally, I find it heightens it. If you find that it's ruining the experience, it's probably not for you. The times that I experience, I don't know what I do these days. I imagine if I got into it now, I would embrace the streaming as a Twitch streamer sort of lifestyle. Whoever happens to be around to watch, it's a difficult trade-off. I guess you'll always find someone who's into what you're doing, because every game is someone's favorite game.
As a final little wrap-up, do you have any parting words for the viewers who will be watching?
Oh, I mean, enjoy the runs. As you clearly can see, there's been a lot of history behind all the GTA runs, a lot of runners, and people we're about to see are current ones, like some of the best current ones. And just have a good time. GTA is just really fun games.
I guess shoutouts to any of Cannibal, Kay, and Daniel, and maybe NTG who did the PS2 run. All those old people that did runs back in early days of SDA GTA runs, and thanks to them for sticking up with my crappy English back then. It's pretty bad nowadays too, but I was 10 or 11 at the time and wrote like a 10-year-old does. And shoutouts to everyone. I guess I don't really know. I'm overwhelmed.
I guess I'm sorry if anybody's ever tried to sort of reach out or wondered where I was, and has been curious on that front. Nothing dramatic. I just have not been a part of the community and feel sort of no urge to I have nothing worth saying that relates to what anybody's doing, and I don't suffer from nostalgia, so I'm more than happy to leave it be and just watch it roll on and get on with my own things. But thank you for building a community around these games, and really showing where they could be taken, because obviously what I started off doing, and my intention was to find the fastest possible way of completing these games, and that intention was clearly never realized in the time that I took to do it. So I personally really appreciate all of the effort that's gone into it since.
welcome everyone to GTU, or whatever it's called. Hope you enjoy all the runs by all the best GTA runners on the best categories. And yeah, have fun and save the children.
Game shows and talking about the good old days, sinking into the grave in a urine-soaked mess. At Farewell Ranch, they sweat and toil until the breaking point and keep that miserable contemplation of mortality at bay. Hell, at steering time, we'll work Grandpa so hard he'll wish he was dead. At